Recently, I went to a flea market to buy something interesting, and I came across a Soviet-era Slava watch with 26 jewels. If I manage to save this watch, it may become a prize for one of the viewers of this channel. I will explain the details at the end of the video. It is one of the more interesting Soviet calendar movements. It has a full day of week and date display, manual quick calendar correction, and 2 mainspring barrels. This pusher is used for quick date setting. This unusual construction is exactly what makes this movement so interesting for collectors and watchmaking enthusiasts. The 2428 caliber existed in earlier and later versions. In the earlier versions, additional jewels were used to support some of the calendar components. Later, these jewels were removed as part of production simplification. Despite these changes, both versions were still described as 26-jewel movements. Now, have a look at this watch. It is heavily tired by the passage of time. I have never serviced a Soviet watch before, so I am really curious to see what is inside. At this point, I still do not know exactly how it works. The markings on the caseback say that the watch is dust-proof. There is no mention of water resistance. Because of the large losses in the nickel plating, I am wondering whether the remaining nickel should be removed and the case nickel-plated again. Unfortunately, there are deep pits in the brass, and nickel plating will not really solve that problem. The movement does not work, and honestly, I am a little afraid of what I will find inside. Well, yes, this is exactly what I was afraid of. The movement is incomplete. The micro-regulator is missing, the cap jewel is missing, and the hairspring is badly damaged. I doubt I will be able to save it. This means I will have to buy a donor movement for parts. I have no idea whether I will be able to find one on eBay. It is time to remove the winding stem. By the way, you can see that the nickel coating is worn all the way down to the brass. Maybe I will find a movement with a stem and crown in better condition. Now it is time to remove the crystal. It is cracked, so I will replace it with a new one. That went smoothly. I am actually surprised it went that smoothly. Now I will remove the hands. I removed the dial together with the day of week ring. There is an awful lot of oil here. Now I am unscrewing the cover that secures the date ring. Look how much oil there is here. I wonder why someone put so much oil in this place. Now I can remove the date ring. I was lucky because my example is the earlier version, the one with additional jewels on the calendar side. Now you can see them. Next, I will unscrew the day disc driving wheel. The next step is the removal of the double tier wheel. Now I will loosen the accumulator spring slightly. I always do this to reduce the risk of the spring launching itself into space. Now I can calmly unscrew the screw. The spring has now been removed. Next, I will unscrew the screw holding the intermediate wheel bridge. The bridge takes the intermediate wheel with it because of the huge amount of oil inside this movement. I need to separate them. I remove the intermediate wheel, then the minute pinion assembly with the friction wheel, and finally, the setting transfer wheel. I always check whether a wheel works on one side only. I can see that this one works only in one position. It has a delicate bevel. Now I am loosening the screw that holds the date transfer lever, and then I remove the lever itself. It is time to remove the setting wheel and the sliding clutch. Before I can remove the sliding clutch, I need to remove the setting lever spring. I will release the tension of this spring, calmly unscrew the screws, and remove the spring. The next spring to remove is the yoke spring, and then the yoke itself. It is safely held in the tweezers. It did not launch into the air. After removing the yoke, I finally have access to the sliding clutch. The last element to remove on this side is the setting lever. Now I am moving to the bridge side of the movement to remove the remaining components. First, I will remove the balance cock. I am curious whether the balance staff is broken. Actually, it does not really matter anymore, because I have already bought a donor movement in much better condition than this one. To be honest, I am not even sure what will be better. Maybe this incomplete movement will become the donor, and I will restore the one I bought yesterday on eBay. It looks quite good. Here it is. While removing the balance bridge, I did not notice that there was also some kind of adjusting shim underneath. Before removing the bridges, I need to release the tension from the mainsprings. A very interesting construction was used here. The idea of using two mainspring barrels was not a Soviet invention, because systems with more than one barrel had already existed in watchmaking before. However, this specific solution in the Slava 24XX family appears to be the Soviet designer's own construction from the second Moscow watch factory. Now a quick removal of the screws. Then I remove the gears from the mainspring barrels. I am checking the play of the barrel arbor in the bridge. Oh my, that is a huge amount of play. This will have to be dealt with somehow. With this kind of play, the movement will have very poor amplitude. Maybe the donor movement will be better, and then I will swap the bridges. Now I understand why nobody repaired this movement before. It simply was not worth it. This movement was very lucky, because it ended up in the hands of a hobbyist. I do not look at the costs. My goal is to save this movement. Maybe I will give it away to one of my viewers. We could do some kind of giveaway, but at the moment, I do not have a clear idea for it yet. Now I will remove the bridge for the fourth wheel and the escape wheel. The jewels are only dirty, they are not cracked. Now I will take out the fourth wheel and then the escape wheel. The arbor is slightly bent, but somehow that does not worry me too much. Now I am removing the second gear train bridge. There are 4 jewels here. The noise you can hear in the background is an airplane passing by, because I live close to the airport. And now, as promised, let me say a few words about the contest. The prize will be the restored Slava 2428 watch itself, and I will also cover the shipping cost. So the winner will not have to pay for the watch or for delivery. But I do not want this to be just a random giveaway. I want the watch to go to someone who truly appreciates the Slava 2428 movement and the story of this repair. So, under the final episode of this series, I will ask you to write a comment. Tell me what you find most interesting about this movement and why you would like to own this watch. I will choose the most interesting and thoughtful answer. And of course, if you enjoy this project, I will be very grateful for a like and a subscription, but it will not be required to enter the contest. And this is the end of the disassembly and the end of this episode.